Hey everyone, this is Mikedot here for OnRPG.com, and welcome to another episode of OnRPG's Kicktracker Report, a monthly web series focused on Kickstarter gaming projects that you should know about. For those that are new to the show, each month I go over a handful of new Kickstarter gaming projects, take a quick look back at campaigns from previous episodes, and I give my thoughts on what makes some of these Kickstarter projects so special. Now, first off, I'd like to apologize for not getting a video up last week because I was very busy attending the New York Comic-Con 2015, but it was a very exciting one this year because I got to check out some pretty cool games, attend some panels, and meet up with some producers and devs from the game industry, and overall it was just a very fun experience. Still, we got some pretty cool stuff for you guys this month because first off, we have some alpha keys for Das Tal, the PvP-focused sandbox MMO to give away, as well as a cool interview for the upcoming BattleTech game on Kickstarter. If you'd like to get your hands on a Das Tal key, just check out the links in the description below. And if you'd like to check out the BattleTech interview, just keep watching this video near the end. But anyway, getting into some news this month, 12 is Better Than 6, the top-down Wild West shooter by Inkstained Games, has had a successful Kickstarter campaign with over £15,000 donated from 745 backers. At the time of this recording, the developers at Inkstained Games are currently taking a much-needed break from game development as they wait to receive the funds from their Kickstarter campaign. In the meantime, those that didn't get a chance to back the game on Kickstarter will soon be free to pitch in some extra donations to the developers in order to continue their support as well as earn some extra rewards. Socuwan, the community-driven MMORPG by Thin Matrix, unfortunately failed to meet its funding goal with only 9,000 euros earned from over 100 backers. As mentioned in an update from the game's head creator, all development on the game will discontinue as the creator attempts to pursue financial stability within a different line of work. Until then, the creator will continue to make smaller side projects and devlog entries for the Socuwan community. Now, there was one Kickstarter title that actually got cancelled during the time of this recording. It was a story-driven action game developed by Rogue Rocket Games called First Wonder, and it was promoted as a spiritual successor to games like MDK and Giant's Citizen Kabuto. Now, in this game, players would explore a sci-fi world as a jetpack hero called a Cargonaut, who would fight against a huge alien creature called a Monstro. Players could also take control of this huge creature and use abilities like leaping and charging all over the map in order to crush the Cargonauts into a bloody mess. The game also planned to include an asymmetric multiplayer option where players could compete against each other in different goal-based matches. And while it sounds and looks like an excellent idea, the development team at Rogue Rocket Games were not prepared for the challenges that would arise from launching a campaign on Kickstarter. Now, due to the lack of awareness for the game, them setting their base goal too high, and many other issues, the devs unfortunately had to make the call of canceling the Kickstarter campaign as they only managed to reach over $40,000, which was well under their $500,000 goal. With all the mistakes taken into consideration, the team at Rogue Rocket Games will continue work on First Wonder and will hopefully be able to return with another Kickstarter campaign sometime in the future. Now, for some of our ongoing Kickstarter titles, we have War of Right, a historical FBI spy campfire game. Set in the year 1862, players can fight in the American Civil War and recreate key battles including the Battle of Antietam and the Siege of Harper's Ferry. The game will also include a ranking system where you can start out as a private soldier and work your way up to becoming a powerful general. This will give players access to commanding other players on the field, sending out orders and supplies, and other options to give the game a more strategic feel. Now, usually I don't really play historical games like this one because when it comes to historical video games, they're usually not very good because they mostly focus on giving a history lesson first, with the gameplay taking a huge backseat. But this one looks very appealing because it uses the power of the CryEngine, and the visual quality is incredible, and the attention to detail when firing and reloading weapons, along with the historical accuracy of the maps that you can play on, is very appealing. So this just may be that one historical FPS game that I might play. It really sets a good standard for all others to follow in terms of quality. Now, just watching the developer diaries on this game, you can tell that a lot of time and effort has been made to make sure this game maintains a certain level of quality and honors the battles that are being represented from the American Civil War. Now, at the time of this recording, this game currently has 25% of its funding goal reached, and it needs over $100,000 in order to achieve its funding goal. This campaign ends on November 14th, 2015. Next up, we have a unique hybrid title called Forced Eternal Arenas. Now, is it a dungeon crawler or is it a card game? Well, it's both actually. As described by the creators of Forced, Eternal Arenas is Diablo meets Hearthstone and a 3D action brawler game with an emphasis on deck building. As crazy as it sounds, the card game aspect works by letting players collect and select different cards that will actively and passively boost their hero in battle. So along with skillful Diablo-style combat, players will also need to think tactically with whatever cards they have, as that extra boost in stats could be enough to take down that pesky boss. The game also features roguelike elements, so players will get to explore multiple dungeon layouts and fight randomized enemies and earn unique rewards, so each adventure feels new and different. Now, personally speaking, I just really like the presentation of this game. While it's not a unique presentation, it's still very solid. It has a very solid visual presence. Also, the boss encounters are very engaging for the looks of it. The option to participate in daily competitions against other players seems like a great way to keep players occupied. But what really sold me on the game's presentation was the music. It has a very tribal and triumphant feel to it, and it just really sets the mood for exploration and action. Now, if this game manages to reach its target funding goal of over $75,000, their stretch goals will also include a inclusion of a heroic difficulty, a new playable hero, Mac and Linux support, as well as a sci-fi campaign. This Kickstarter campaign ends on November 5th, 2015. Last up, we have a pretty big Kickstarter title that has already smashed well past its initial funding goal. BattleTech is a turn-based tactical mech combat game developed by Harebrained Schemes, the original creators of Shadowrun. Now, the BattleTech series started back in 1984 as a tabletop game created by Jordan Weisman, and since then, the game has spawned a number of different properties, including video games, card games, and more. Now, the series has been pretty quiet since then, and now with this ongoing Kickstarter campaign, this will be the first BattleTech game to ever be released in over 20 years. Using the power of the Unity 5 engine, BattleTech plans to bring back that tabletop style that the series is known for, along with the strategic combat found in the recent Shadowrun games. Now, this game plans to feature a fully fleshed out single-player campaign, an expanded mercenary campaign from 5 different factions, a customizable home base, and a ton of other features. But now, one other feature that they would like to include is the option for PvP multiplayer, but that requires the campaign to reach up to $2,500,000 in order to make that a reality. But I'd say at the rate that this campaign is going, I believe it should have no problem reaching that goal in time. This campaign ends on November 3rd, 2015. But anyway, that's all for this month's recap. But before I end things off, we also have a nice treat for you guys, because we also have Dizzy PW with a special interview from PAX East with Jordan Weisman, the original creator of BattleTech, with some insider details on the game's development. So if you'd like to learn more about this upcoming title, just keep watching for more details. But anyway, if you'd like to learn more about the Kickstarter games featured in this video, just check out the links in the description below. But as always, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for next month's recap. This is Mikedot saying over and out, and enjoy the rest of the video.
What's up, guys? This is Dizzy PW here with MMO Huts, doing a special report on the 7th floor, where all the obscure and really cool games, the ones you don't get to hear about from the mainstream sites, we make sure to cover are. And we've got information on a very popular board game that's going to be getting digitized, and it's going to be amazing from a very proven game development. So can you introduce yourself and what you're doing on this upcoming title, BattleTech?
Yeah, by all means. My name is Jordan Weisman. I had the pleasure of creating the original BattleTech board game over 30 years ago, And then subsequently have done BattleTech as a set of like virtual reality cockpits, Mech Warrior, Mech Commander. Made a lot of mech games over the years, but it's been almost 20 years since I made my last mech game, and we're really excited to be making a new one.
So what is it that brought you back out of the retirement and making these mech games to get you into it again?
Well, it took a long time to get the rights. I sold my company to Microsoft back in '98, and with that went all the electronic entertainment rights for the property. And so it's been, and then after I was creative director for Microsoft Entertainment for about 4 years during the era when we launched Xbox and Halo and all that kind of stuff. But after I left the company, the franchises kind of just, both BattleTech and Shadowrun and even Crimson Skies kind of started to be dormant. And I've been trying to work with them to license those back to us so that we can make games. We succeeded with Shadowrun. We've now just shipped our third Shadowrun campaign called Shadowrun Hong Kong. And that's something that fans have been really excited about. We've been overjoyed to make them, and we've been wanting to do the same for BattleTech and bring it back in a turn-based, tactical, modern game that allows us to really get into the story of the world through the lens of really solid tactical gameplay.
Give us a rundown of the story for the next generation of gamers that weren't around 30 years ago.
Yes. Okay. So the story of BattleTech is, actually. One of the guys who's working with me on the title, Mike McCain, he was our creative director on the last 2 Shadowrun games, and his first PC game ever was Mech Warrior 2. So he's one of the younger guys, if you will. And we started working at BattleTech, and he came to me and said, "You realize that BattleTech is Game of Thrones? It's like beat for beat the story of Game of Thrones, only BattleTech is 10 years older." And I was like, no. And then I went back and looked at it. He's absolutely right. So imagine kind of a Game of Thrones situation. We've had a interstellar empire called the Star League, which has fallen from within because the first prince was assassinated. There are 5 noble houses which had been banded together to create the Star League, and now each of them are battling with each other for the right to become the new first prince of the Star League. So you have that same kind of feudal dynamics, Machiavellian politics, and it is a world like Game of Thrones where there is no white knights. It just goes from gray to grayer to damn black. I mean, it's just it's kind of a dark world in that respect. Same kind of story, only now extend that instead of a guy's in armor, your armor is 30 foot tall. Right, and it's got enough firepower in it to level a small city. But it is a situation where a small group of those mechs, what we call a lance of 4 mechs, is powerful enough to really make a big difference on a planet and win a planet back, for one side or the other. In the context of our game, you're going to be playing a mercenary unit, trying to develop within that Machiavellian environment, figuring out who you're going to work for and how you either decide to declare loyalty towards one of those noble houses or try to weave between them, working for all of them.
And so are you planning to tell this story through a single player campaign system, or is there going to be a way that multiplayer ties into this?
Well, the base game is a single player campaign, branching storylines that then opens up into a completely open-ended single player campaign. So that you can be able to continue to advance your mercenary unit story for as long as you want. One of the stretch goals of the campaign, of the Kickstarter campaign, will be to add PvP in the context of the arena combat of in the fiction is a planet called Solaris 7, which is kind of Las Vegas meets WWE. It's like the professional mech combat sport planet, and so those are where we hope to be able to add PvP arena play, but that'll be based on where we get with the Kickstarter crowdfunding.
Fantastic. That was a great rundown. We're excited for it. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate it.